everyone. I'm going to show you how to make this really cute little paper snowman using an empty toilet paper roll or tube, however you'd like to call it. So some of the things that you're going to need to make this little guy is, of course, you're going to need your empty toilet paper tube. You are going to need to get some glue stick. And I've got a couple different examples here. They're both permanent glue sticks, so I think any kind of permanent glue stick will work. You are going to need to have some scissors handy because you're going to need to be doing a little bit of cutting. And you're going to need some sort of a black marker. You could use a black Sharpie or even just a black pen will work too, okay? You'll also need to have some paper supplies. This I just used regular copier paper and cut it down to size. So you need a piece of copier paper, white, that is measured 4 inches on the short end and 6 inches on the long end. So you'll need a sheet of white copier paper. You are going to need some orange construction paper. And this is for your nose, the snowman's nose, so it doesn't need to be very big. I just have a little 1 inch by 1 inch square of orange construction paper. As you can see, my little snowman's wearing a nice glittery scarf, so you need a sheet of glittery paper. And my paper, I cut it at 9 inches long by a 1/2 inch wide. So that's 9 inches by a 1/2 inch. And then this snowman has buttons on him, so you could use buttons, or I'll also show you another way to decorate him without using the buttons. I have a piece of black construction paper here too, and that's just in case I decided to, instead of using buttons, I might decide to cut circles out of the black paper to put on as his buttons. So anyway, that's just an option. These two things are optional, okay? The buttons and the little black piece of paper. So I'm going to set those things aside, and now let's just get to work on how to create this cute little snowman guy. All right, the first thing we want to do is I'm just going to kind of move my supplies over to the side, get them out of my way, out of my workspace. And I need to put my white paper on my toilet paper roll. So the best way that I found to do this is I'm going to find about the middle of my paper, and it doesn't have to be exact, but I'm going to find the middle, and I'm going to take my glue stick, and I'm just going to put run a nice line of glue right down the center of my paper. And I wish you could see it better. I wish I had that glue that went on purple, because that makes it easier to see. Anyway, once I get my glue on there, I'm just going to lay my toilet paper roll or tube right down on that paper. Okay, so now it's stuck right to that one side. Now that I have that done and I have it nice and straight, I can take my glue stick on this side, okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put a bunch of glue on that side of my paper. And then I just simply have to roll my toilet paper tube towards that edge of my paper. And there it went on very nicely, okay? So I've got my paper on that side, and now I'm just going to turn it over, and I'm going to put more glue down here on this side. And if I'm going too fast, you can always just pause the video anytime you need to, and just come back when you're ready to start the next step. But now I've got my paper all glued down, okay? Now I want to point out that where the paper comes together and overlaps, I'm going to consider this to be the back side of my snowman, because I really don't want that to be the front side of the snowman. I want to have a nice smooth front side. So I'm going to consider that the back, and I'll work on this side of my snowman. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put his eyes on. And you could use those cute little googly eyes if you'd like to, but this is just a very simple way to make the snowman. So I'm going to show you the simple way. So I'm just going to take a pen, and this one is like a felt tip pen. You could use a Sharpie if you have a black Sharpie, but you do need something black. And now I'm just going to decide, where do I want the eyes of my snowman? And so I'm going to just come down about an inch and start with just a circle, and it doesn't not have to be perfect. And I'm just going to start coloring it in, but I'm going to leave a little white speck there in the middle, okay? And that white part in the middle is just to show that if the sun were shining on my snowman, it would be shining so brightly it would leave a little glitter right there, a little glimmer of light on his eyes if they were like made of coal or something. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other eye, and I'm just going to keep coloring in until I get to that little tiny white speck. And again, the eyes don't have to be perfectly round. As a matter of fact, they probably should be a little disformed, okay? Because in real life, your snowman's eyes are probably going to be stones or something like that. Okay, so I've got my eyes drawn. I know that I'm going to need my nose to be in the middle there, so the next thing I'm going to do is put my mouth in, and I'm just going to come down about this far. Just imagine a nice V shape, a circle, and I'm going to start my first stone about right there. And then I'm just going to kind of draw little circles to represent that he has a smile on his face. And I want my little circles to be misshaped. I don't want them to be all perfect, because again, in real life, your snowman you would be making with stones or rocks or coal or buttons, and they're not going to be all the same shape. So, okay. So now I've got my face drawn. Very easy. The next thing I'm going to do is make my carrot nose. So I need my little piece of orange. This is just cardboard, or not cardboard, I'm sorry, construction paper. It's a nice thin kind of construction paper. But I'm going to draw my nose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to one of the corners of my orange paper, and I'm going to draw a line about like that in the corner. And then I'm going to be aiming, I'm going to be making my V shape and aim towards this other corner. So if I turn my paper that way, I can see where my V shape is going to be aiming towards. Now, I don't want to go clear over to the end because that nose would just be too big. In my opinion, you might want to make it that big. But then I'm just going to draw a little bit of a line that way, and I don't want it to be perfectly straight. I want it to be a little bit lumpy and bumpy. And the reason why is because carrots are not perfect in real life, right? Okay, so I drew my little carrot nose, and this is where my scissors come in handy, because now I need to cut my nose out. So I mean my little snowman nose. So now you're just gonna go and cut out this carrot nose, and like that. There we go. So I've got my carrot nose, and I'm done with my orange paper. See how easy this is? All right, now you can decide if you'd like to put your nose on your snowman this way so that you can see that black drawing that you did, or you might want to turn it over and not have the black ink from where you drew it show through. That's totally up to you. You can make your nose go that direction. You can put it straight down if you like, off to the side a little bit, you know, maybe over to the side. This one, I kind of, if this were a clock, I kind of pointed it to maybe the 4 o'clock, maybe the 5 o'clock. I think this one I'm going to do a little bit differently. Let's see. I think I'm going to make this one go on over to that side. Okay, so I like the black showing. Now, You're only going to be putting glue on this wide end of the nose, okay? Because you want the rest of the nose to just be free and off of the paper. So let me take my glue stick, and this time I'm going to put the carrot nose onto the glue stick. I'm not going to put the glue stick on the nose. I'm going to go this way and hold my glue stick up, and just with my finger, just kind of rub the back of that carrot nose, okay, till I feel like I have enough glue on there. And now I'm just going to stick it there on my snowman. Just kind of hold it for just a little while to make sure that it's on there good. Okay, perfect. Now we've got a nose on our snowman. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do, believe it or not, is not the buttons. We're going to do the scarf next. Okay, so now we need our glitter paper, or if you don't have glitter paper, you can just cut a regular sheet of construction paper, and it can be any color. Doesn't have to be this pretty pink sparkly kind, but I like glittery things, so this is what I chose to use. Since this is a scarf, I want to fray the edges, okay? So I'm going to show you how to do that. Just take the very tip of your scissors and kind of cut in about a 1/2 inch. Just snip into the edges. You can make 3 or 4 snips there, just depending on how wide you go. But you're just going to snip in a little bit, and that kind of gives you that frayed edge look like a scarf, okay? So you're going to do that on both ends of your scarf. 1, 2, 3, and it doesn't have to be perfect. They don't have to be the same length, but there you go. So there's the edges of my scarf looking frayed. Okay, now I'm going to turn it upside down. Okay, I'm going to lay it down flat. And this time I'm going to find about where the middle is, and I'm going to put glue with my glue stick at the middle of this piece, of this glitter piece, okay? So that's about the middle. And now I'm going to lay my snowman down right there, okay? So I'm laying him down on that glue. And I'd say that I've got my scarf like right at the back of his face, okay, on the back side. So I've got it glued on there. It's still a little bit wet, but it'll dry nicely. And now watch, when I bring this, if I just bring this over straight across, it's going to cover his face, right? So we don't want that to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this side, and I'm keeping a finger on this so that it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm just kind of bend this forward a little bit, okay? Just kind of bend that paper forward. Forward and down at an angle, all right? Forward and down. Okay, and you might need to get some help with that, but if you're a second grader doing this, you might need a little help, but maybe not. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to just bend it forward and down. Okay, so now look what happens when I bring the scarf to the front. It comes down nicely, okay? Just like that. That's how I want it to look, okay? So now I know I'm going to need to put some glue right underneath there. Okay, so instead of putting it on my scarf, I'm going to put some glue right in the middle, right in the front. A little circle of glue right there. And now I'm going to bring my scarf down and put it right on top of that glue. And now I'm ready to put more glue right at that same spot, but this time I'm going to put it right on top of this sparkly paper. So I'm going to put more glue right there, right on that same spot. And now I'm going to bring this part over and stick it right on there, okay? So now I've got my glue on my snowman, or my scarf. And I'm just going to hold it for a little while. You never know, how long it takes for glue stick to hold, but it does a pretty good job. And if it did come off, then just take more glue and stick it back on there. You could even, let something sit on it overnight. Not too heavy because you don't want to squish your snowman, but for the most part, it should stay just fine, okay? So I'm just going to sit him here, and I'm going to close up my glue, and then I'm going to go on to the next thing. Now, remember I said that the buttons are optional, okay? So I did put buttons on this guy, but I want to show you what it can look like without buttons. You just take the same pen that you were using, or you could use different colors if you'd like, because these are like the buttons for him. But I'm going to stay with black. And now I'm just going to draw some circles. And they don't have to be the same size. They don't have to be perfect circles. All right. So you just draw circles however big you want for his buttons. You can put 2 there. You can put 3 there. You can put 1 off to the side a little bit so it's not perfect, because we know that in real life our snowman's not going to be very perfect. But he can be done just like this. Your snowman can be totally done just like that. Now, if you did want to use buttons, all right, here's a couple ideas. Now, I used my glue stick to put those buttons on, and you can see that it's staying very nicely. It's holding very well. So you could use your glue stick, okay? But if you have a hot glue gun, and if you are a second grader or a child, you need to get help with the hot glue gun from an adult. You cannot use it by yourself, all right? So you could put the buttons on that way. But safety tells me, I think I'm just gonna show you how to use this glue stick, because that's what we've already been using, okay? Now remember, he can be done just like that. But let's go ahead, and I'm going to show you how to put the buttons on. So again, like we did the nose, I'm going to hold my glue stick up, and I'm going to take my button and actually rub my button onto the glue stick. And I'm going to scoop up some glue, okay? I'm scooping up glue, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but I scooped a whole bunch of glue onto my button, okay? And I want it to be a bunch on there, because otherwise your button's not going to stay. So now that I've got all that glue on there, now I can stick my button on there, and I'm going to smush it down, and then I'm going to leave it alone, okay? I'm going to do the same thing with my other button. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to just scrape across my glue stick and get a whole bunch of glue on there. Okay, can you see that? All right, got plenty on there. Now I'm going to stick this one on there, squish it down. All right, and I got my buttons on. So that'll work, and it'll dry. Right now it's still a little bit wet, so it's not quite on there perfectly yet, but it'll dry. You don't have to worry about it. I can see a little bit of glue sticking out to the side, and if I don't like that, I could just maybe take this paper here and just kind of scrape off that extra glue with some paper, okay? But I think it looks really cute. So there's the snowman. I hope you had fun making your snowman, and until the next time, happy crafting. Goodbye.